Hello everyone, welcome to MisoDog TV channel. I'm YT Japanese. Today we'd like to talk about finding a non-English teaching a job in Japan for foreigners actually. Today we have a special guest here, Ken. He's been working here for many years, and he has like so many experiences about finding a job in here. So could you introduce yourself?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no problem. So my name is Ken. I'm from the US. I've been in Japan for about maybe 10 years, a bit more than 10 years, and through that time, I've done a few jobs and went from English teaching, and now I work in a Japanese company. So today I guess I'd like to share my experience.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm from the US, and I studied economics and Asian studies, and after that I went to the JET program.
Okay.
You know the JET program?
Actually, I don't know what JET is. Yeah.
Okay, so for viewers who are not familiar with JET program, it's essentially a Japanese exchange teaching. Like people from not only the US but from all over the world, apply for this big program that's affiliated with the government, Japanese government, and you go, if you're accepted, you go to elementary, junior high school, and senior high schools in Japan and teach English. But and it's English teaching, but at the same time, it's a bit more stable than trying to come to Japan yourself or going through another company over the internet. So it's teaching English was fun. It was a great experience. But at the same time, after 5 years for me at least, it was I was kind of wanting to do something different.
I guess.
And plus, teaching English not only at through JET but other schools or the schools and other positions as well. You can't really go higher. For English teachers, it's very difficult.
You did not you don't have any work experience in the US in a regular job, and you just came here without any skills actually, right? And became a teacher for 5 years. What are you gonna do next, right?
Exactly. Yes. 5 years of teaching, what am I going to do? Oh my God, I just graduated from university, I have this degree which, in most cases is worthless. I looked into, different things, and I found that there's pretty much, essentially 3 sort of patterns that most people that I know did, besides going back to your home country. So one is, recruitment, or find a recruiter. So, recruiters are consulting companies where you send your resume, and then they'll take a look at it, and they'll see what sort of jobs are available through their company, and then they'll introduce they'll introduce the company to your resume and see if we want this person, can we have an interview and such. Other ways is finding a job yourself. So not using a recruiter, going out there and looking at the ads, the want ads, and then trying to find what you want. But finding a job by yourself is a lot more difficult, but it's been a little bit easier because with the internet, technology. So there's websites that you can look online for finding Japanese jobs while in Japan. So Job is one, which also serves as a recruitment company too. Let's see now, what else is there? Wantedly, I guess it's more Japanese oriented. If you can read Japanese, it's very useful. And LinkedIn is also has become popular, I found. And the third option is going back to school, and then this isn't only Japanese school. So going to a Japanese company, obviously you need to know Japanese, right?
Of course. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think so.
It's a lot more competitive recently, and N1 is something that I think is becoming a lot more necessary.
It's like a baseline here. N1's a baseline.
Yeah, so
pretty high actually.
It's a bit high. It's really high. I mean, absolutely, N2 is useful. But what I found, if you have any, proficiency certification, so N3 or so, as long as you're showing that you're interested in Japanese, you want to improve, then companies will look at that and they'll appreciate that. Like I have friends who, of course, myself included, took the Japanese JLPT and then got N2, N3, N1. And I also know a few friends who were able to get jobs in Japan, and not non-English teaching company jobs, but rather large companies. So I have friends who work at Rakuten, Amazon, and such, who were able to get jobs without the Japanese language proficiency test. but it is really depends on the company. It doesn't hurt to have it. It will always be beneficial to have it. But if you're able to sort of, you know, in lieu of the Japanese, you can bring to the table like a specialized skill or something that only you can do or is very limited in Japan. Then most companies will overlook that and will hire you for that specialized skill. But I had friends who went to programming. They went to programming schools and were able to get jobs doing programming in Japan. Because that's something that Japanese people or Japanese companies are looking for.
Yeah, I think so.
So that's the two options. So one is to study Japanese, two is to study a skill set. And my case was getting my MBA, and I went to Globus. What was it? Globus Graduate School of Business. One great thing about working in Japan and doing your MBA in Japan is that you can do internships. I was able to intern at a few companies, Japanese companies as well as foreign companies in Japan. I was able to get a lot of experience, and also through the internships, you can possibly try and get a job at the company that you're doing the internship at, you're working at, and that is a lot easier than trying to find a job by yourself. So after interning at these companies, I graduated and I was looking around for work, and then I ended up going back to the company that I interned at for tourism because I was interested in tourism. Now I can kind of sort of switch to what some people will do, like not go through school, but look for a job through recruitment or by themselves. And this is where I also have experience because I left the tourism company and then I was looking for work. Since I had a skill set, it's a lot easier now that I had my MBA and I had some experience. It's a bit easier for me to work. Right. I went to recruitment companies, so as I mentioned before, a few names: N World Recruit, Robert Walters, and such. And they're really helpful, and if you have previous work experience, it's really useful. I mean, they can look through jobs a lot easier than if you don't have any work. So if you're coming from the US, or in my case the US, or from any other country, and directly after graduating university to Japan, not through the JET program or anything, it's it's very difficult to find non-English teaching jobs. It's possible. I mean, if you study Japanese university, of course, you can speak Japanese and you can use that as a way to leverage your way into a non-English teaching job. But just be aware that it's fairly difficult. If you're mid-career, so I was a mid-career because most people from JET will become mid-career applicants, so they won't be entry level.
Like, is it gonna be like a plus for finding a job? Like, you were a teacher. You've been teaching kids for 5 years, right? So it's gonna be like a plus for finding a job here.
That's an excellent question. I'm so sorry that I did not bring that up before. So it's very important for English teachers in Japan right now.
Alright.
So from my experience at least, like you mentioned, you're teaching people, you're an educator, you speak in front of people. So obviously those are skills. And what I can't stress enough is in the resume, you want to put your appeal points and use your teaching experience as a way to appeal at the fact that you're a public speaker. You're good at speaking, you can speak in front of people, you're also an educator.
Yes.
You have experience with teaching people who aren't who don't speak Japanese or don't speak English, I'm sorry, so you're patient, you're understanding, you can empathize, you can also create your own you can also manage your own classes and such. So those are things that you should absolutely put in your resume and stress. Those are things that companies, because if you just say I teach English, then companies are like, well, that's great and all, but we're not teaching English, we're selling things. Depending on the companies and depending on what you want to do, your English teaching skills or your English teaching experience might not be counted. And I've actually been told by a few recruiters, they're like, okay, what's your work experience? I'm looking on here, you did the JET program. Do you have any work experience? And I said, well, that's my work experience. I taught in JET. And they're like, that's not really, they're like, we don't want to be rude.
It doesn't count.
For companies, that's not really work experience because it's not, it's a difficult skill to transfer. There's no tangible skills. I mean, if I worked at a previous finance company, I know finance. But teaching English, well, obviously I know English, but what else can I bring to the table? So it really depends on what job or you want to do and what company you're looking for. But absolutely, you can use the skills that you pick up as a teacher. You can absolutely transfer to companies, and certain companies look for that, and that's an excellent point because I'll bring up recruiting as a very popular job that non-English that English teachers transfer go into. You know, obviously they speak some Japanese, they know they're native English speakers, or they speak English very well, and also they're since you're teaching, you know, deal with interactive people, so you also need that, you know, human interaction component or skill, and that's where former teachers can, you know, use that skill in the company. And that's why recruitment companies, if you don't want to teach English, you don't have specialized skill, one option is recruiting. And you can find a lot of tutorials on, you know, how to find or how to, you know, write a resume, how to do interviews in Japan and such. And those are absolutely necessary, especially if you want to go to, you know, the bigger, more popular companies in higher positions. Okay. Yeah, so recruiters are helpful. They find jobs for you and they do most of the legwork, but at the same time, they might not offer you jobs that you want. So I was in that situation. And then, so I not only did, you know, Guide Job, LinkedIn, and stuff like that, I also attended career fairs, and that's something you can do as well. And I really emphasize for English teaching people and such, you know, like once you realize you want to do something else, go to these career fairs. Going to the fairs, you meet the actual HR people who work at the companies, and they can get a better idea of you. And if you come directly from overseas, it's one way without, you obviously won't have a network, or it's very difficult to build a network in Japan. So that's one way you can sort of start building your network. I mean, I highly recommend going to career fairs, and there's specialized ones, so look to the ones that you want. There's some that are related to, you know, overseas, you know, companies as well, and ones that are related to Japanese companies. So I mean, take a look online, and you'll probably find, you know, a lot of information about that. But yeah, so for today, just, you know, to go over like what I wanted to convey to you as well as the audience as well. You know, finding a job, working in Japan as an English teacher is, for my opinion, the wage isn't that great, not much position to go higher. So a lot of people I know end up going back home because they didn't know what else to do afterwards, or they wanted to do something else. And it's not the end. There is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Some other options,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
You're gonna some other.
So absolutely, for people who are, and I want to concentrate on people like me who taught English and want to do something else in Japan. You know, obviously go to recruiters and see if they can help you with the job, but at the same time, look for a job yourself. So LinkedIn is especially helpful. You know, build up your resume properly, have people proofread it, write it and such, and then make it tailored for, you know, your strengths and what you want to do. And then another option, which I did, is go back to school and study. It takes time, money, and effort, but the investment in it is really great, in my opinion. Plus, if you study in Japan, you also gain the network. And networking too is also something you should absolutely do, in addition to those three. So networking as well as career fairs. And then for Japanese language, everyone says JLPT, but I want to also stress not only JLPT, but BJT, which is Business Japanese Test. And that's something that companies don't stress in their requirements, but if you have it, it's great. Yeah, so good luck with that.
Okay.
You know, I talked a lot today, but that's my experience.
All right. So today we talked about, you know, finding like non-English teaching job for foreigners here today. So I think you guys learned a lot today. So see you next time.
Yeah.
Right. Bye bye.
See you later. Bye.